You are now listening to Regular Guys Podcast. Good morning, regular guys. We are Regular Guys Podcast back again on this beautiful Monday. Hopefully, you guys like the switch. We know we got some feedback and seems to have been going out so well so far. So, hey, it kind of works out well for us. But I'm your host, Matty Ice, back again. Episode 18 this week. Jake is also here as always. Jake, tell the people what's good, man.
What's up, guys? Super excited for this week. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. We're going to open up the books for some fantasy. Me and Matt are super excited about this, to be honest. We love fantasy football. Matt is search trades a lot. He'll explain that a little bit more probably. But we love fantasy football, so be able to talk about it, spread some knowledge on it, help you guys out. That's super cool. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. The show is jam packed with a whole bunch of news and scores and whatnot, and we'll definitely kind of follow the same format as last week's show. Recap of preseason week 2. A whole bunch of stuff went on there. By request by one of you guys, one of you wanted to hear us talk about injuries in the NFL. So we said, hey, why not? We'll be talking about the injury front that's happening around the league. As Jake mentioned, we will be breaking down fantasy players by each division or by each position, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, kicker, defense, and so on and so forth. And also, we are down to just 2 divisions left. This week, we will be breaking down the AFC West and also going into the NBA. Really not much news there. So, of course, we just kind of wanted to maybe talk some stuff that may spark you guys' interest. And, of course, we'll end it off. We'll end off the sports part with our new segment in other sports. And then, of course, we will end it off with our favorite and your favorite, the hype. But, hey, to begin, again, we thank you guys again for joining us for this week. Preseason week 2 is almost in the books. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the New Orleans Saints are ending off preseason week 2 right now as we speak. That game is 0-0 at this moment. But let's kind of take a look into how the week started and how it's ending at this point. So on Thursday, we saw the New England Patriots beat the Eagles 35-0, followed by the Chiefs beating the Cardinals 17-10. The Washington football team beat the Bengals 17-13. The Bills beat the Bears 41-15. The Jets beat the Packers 23-14. The Dolphins beat the Falcons 37-17. The Ravens beat the Panthers 20-3. The Steelers beat the Lions 26-20. Titans beat the Bucks 34-3. Texans beat the Cowboys 20-14. Colts beat the Vikings 12-10. The Raiders beat the Rams 17-16. Broncos beat the Seahawks 30-3. And our last 2 Sunday games, the Browns beat the Giants, 17-13. And the 49ers came out on top against the Chargers, 15-10. Now, I know what you're thinking, Matt, none of these scores matter. Why are you reading them off? Well, this is basically what's going to be happening when, the season kicks off. And we'll just kind of break down each important game. So we want to, give you all the scores to all of them in case you live under a rock. Who knows? You may not get the alerts. You may be like PJ, who likes to wait to watch their team play 2 weeks from the game actually starting. So we just want to be here to help you out. But amidst all these scores, so many of these teams, again, had a lot riding on this as far as development wise. I'll let Jake get into something that he maybe noticed. I'll say one thing that I noticed, and it starts from the first game, the Pats and the Eagles. Cam and Mac Jones both look really good. I will definitely say that. Cam looked a lot better than he did in the first game against Washington, even though it wasn't that bad outside of the Chase Young sack. Mac Jones, hey, still doing that check down Charlie, but it's working. Drove him down the field twice. Unfortunately, didn't get to throw his first I guess official, non-official touchdown pass, but they did score on 2 runs. But man, if you're a Pats fan, you got to be pretty excited that yeah, he's looking good. He's maybe not looking great like you would want him to be, back on the Panthers. But at this point, you kind of take it and just know that if something happens, Mac Jones is there. And that's what's really important is to continue on with the development of Mac Jones because you got to think at some point he will be taking over the keys for that franchise. So, Jake, anything that you took away from preseason week 2?
Just like you said, like you can tell a lot of the starters are either starting to get a little more comfortable. Um, they're trying to fill out, and if you have a new coach, new system, you can kind of see if there's any bumps in the road. So you're already looking at it. But like you said, Cam Newton, he's a veteran. He knows how it works. He had COVID all last season. Like that's really gonna mess you up. People handle it differently. So I feel like that's really what pushed Cam to be as bad as he was. Um, but I think he's gonna do good. And Mac Jones, we know, is the long-term answer. Cam is just the short-term guy. So they both know that. They both know their roles, which helps out a lot. But the one thing that I personally love just for my team, I don't know if you later on want to point out some cold stuff, but Zach Wilson, he only missed 2 throws, 2 passes in the game. Granted, they sat 30 players that were starting the Packers. He didn't go up against any of the starting defense. I understand. But just to see your rookie quarterback did not throw a pick, he threw 2 touchdowns, went 128, scored on both of his drives, only had 2 incompletions. I'll take that. You just like to see some positive changes. That's all I'm
Yeah,
happy to see.
no, he definitely looked sharp.
He gets the ball out quick.
Yeah, and that's good, especially for a quarterback, a rookie quarterback at that. Kind of doesn't let him get hit. Whereas the New York Jets are slowly molding that offensive line to where they want it to be. Yeah, they've had Becton there, and they've added Vera
Right,
Tucker,
Tucker.
and maybe some other guys. I know that they signed right tackle from Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say it's a lot better. I'll say it's better than last year, but it's still going to have some tweaks in it. I don't think it's going to be the absolute worst like it was, last year, or I don't know if it was the worst last year, but it's good to have a quick draw on the handle there with the ball. Where Zach Wilson looked good, I'm not going to say Justin Fields looked bad. You definitely see that maybe the pocket awareness needs to get a little better.
Yeah.
If for those of you or maybe Bears fans or just saw the highlight, took a nasty hit, helmet came off, and he best way to put it was he just never saw the guy coming. So it's not like he's got super horrible pocket awareness. Just you have to have your head on the swivel, so to speak, especially in the NFL, because I mean, for all we know, if he does start week 1, that could be Aaron Donald, and that hit's going to be a lot worse
Mm-hmm. That's
than
gonna be a welcome to the NFL, kid. That's
yeah,
gonna be one of those hits.
yeah. Another interesting, I guess, kind of storyline I saw, Tua showing us the improvement. Loved what I saw out of him, and in all honesty, that's pretty much all you just want him to do is just continue to get better, continue to make the right reads. Yeah, he's going to make wrong reads here and there. That's okay. As long as he's not making consistent bad reads, I think as Dolphins fans, you can live with that. Um, I feel like if he does his job right, the passing attack should be a lot better. Maybe than what we've saw from the past previous years. I mean, when you think about the weapons, Devontae Parker, Albert Wilson, I believe Preston Williams is still there. Added Will Fuller, drafted Jalen Waddle. So the receiver room is stacked. Mike Gesicki's a pretty solid tight end. Um, we know that there's a fight for the running back room there with Brown and probably the top leading guy right now, Gaskins. So that was pretty much what I liked out of this one. I can't really go into Colts wise because it I mean, yeah, we won, but it's like, yeah, it's
I
preseason.
mean, let's be honest. As a Colts fan, and even the organization, knowing that Wentz is already practicing,
Yeah, that was more of the bigger news. I mean, in my eyes, it really should have been Jacob Eason taking the start. I don't necessarily get the Sam Ellinger hype. I mean, yeah, he knows, I guess, where to go with the ball and whatnot, but he's short.
is he
He just
outshining Eason in practice?
he's not. It is just
Okay.
is because they didn't think he would perform this well in camp.
Hmm.
They said, why not give him a chance? So they've even
I guess.
gone before Wentz started practicing today. They've gone as far as splitting the team reps. But in my eyes, if Wentz wasn't going to go, I just felt like it should have been Eason all along. But
That makes me think that they already knew Wentz was going to come back.
yeah, at this point, I think it was just a let's make sure we have
Precaution.
the right number two behind
Yeah.
Wentz, and I think they have it in Eason. He's been there a year already. He's got the arm. A lot of times he's fast balling it like he's about to break your fingers off, but um, I think as far as number two, he would be pretty solid. But anything else caught your eye for preseason week two?
No, like it's too much to judge sometimes. Like it's for us, it's like trash, but a lot of the times it's just players that are just trying to make the roster. So
Yeah,
it can look like sloppy ball. It doesn't look clean. And I don't. I think this week coming up, week 3 is going to be even worse because I don't think anyone's going to start their guys. You're just going to get.
yeah,
I think we're going to get a lot more cuts happening this week. You're going to see a lot more players getting cut, cleaning up the roster and just getting ready for opening day.
yeah. I think they've changed the format up to where the number of players that you are cutting after each game. Like I think last week it was five or six. Today, I mean, this is just based off what I saw, who I saw the Colts cut. Colts only cut three guys, and they're only sitting at 80. So I'm thinking, obviously, you got to make another, round of cuts. And I think at the week of opening week, there's just going to be a massive overhaul of just getting that roster down to 53.
Do we know if these teams have extended rosters for the COVID?
I don't think that is going to be the case this year.
Okay.
I think because it's better prepared, you're better equipped for it. It's You're gonna have your typical rosters with your practice squad, and I don't know if it'll be the same where you can save a guy on the practice squad like it was last year or whatever it was. So yeah, well, I mean, I'll have to see.
Gotcha.
That's a good question. But yeah,
Especially what happened with the Broncos last year, you would think the NFL would want to try to avoid that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So we'll see. Definitely, like you mentioned, this week don't really look to see a lot of starters playing this week. This is your, last game of the preseason. This is for all the guys who are trying to make the cut, trying to state why they should be on the team on the 53-man roster. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes open. I haven't heard anything. Obviously, as a Colts fan, Carson Wentz and Big Q and those guys are definitely not going to play, which is perfectly fine. But we'll see as far as the rest of the league. But moving into now the injury front for the league, just some notable maybe injuries, some things of guys getting activated. We saw Daryl Henderson had injured his thumb at practice. Don't necessarily know the severity of that. Doesn't look to be as bad. We also saw the Cardinals activated J.J. Watt today from the PUP list. As mentioned at the beginning of the show, Carson Wentz, Big Q, and Ryan Kelly have all shown up to practice today and are limited throughout the week after dealing with their injuries. Jared Davis of the Jets is out until week 6 after an ankle injury. And
Hmm.
let's see if we have any more. Don't know if he's
Did we ever talk
necessarily.
about Carl Lawson?
We didn't. We did not. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to mention about that.
Yeah, so Carl Lawson last week, probably one of the brightest upsides, or like just something to look forward to on that Jets defense. He suffered a ruptured Achilles last week when they were scrimmaging with the Packers, and he was everyone was expecting a breakout season. He had a phenomenal year last year with the Bengals,
Yeah,
and then he got the bag this year, which no one said the Jets overpaid. Everyone said the Jets are getting a great guy, great
yeah,
pass
it was
rusher.
the right deal.
Yeah, he was playing so well that Becton was struggling. And Becton is considered one of the better young tackles. Obviously, he doesn't have that much experience, but he never had that challenge of a pass rusher last year to make him look crazy, make him look like a revolving door, and that's what Lawson was doing to Becton. He was just spinning that guy left and right. So to see a guy like that go down, it makes you kind of upset and you feel for him. But
Yeah,
especially as a Jets fan, you just wanted to see that. But you know, we hope for speedy recovery and we want to see him on the field.
yeah, definitely. And still a really young guy. So
Yeah.
like you mentioned, hope he definitely gets a speedy recovery. Um, Other injury news, we saw AJ McCarron, Falcons backup, is out for the year,
Mm,
tearing his
saw that.
ACL. Um, AJ Brown, after having a knee injury, looks to be ready for Week 1. We also saw the Bears activate Jermaine Ifedi, offensive tackle, and also too we saw Edwards Hilaire sprain his right ankle in the preseason game against the Cardinals. So just some injury front news for you guys to keep you posted. Maybe you don't necessarily know when your guy on your team gets hurt, or maybe hey, for fantasy purposes, coming up with so many drafts entering this week, next week, leading off into the Week 1 kickoff. But speaking of Week 1 kickoff, fantasy football is upon
Mm.
us, and man, oh man, we cannot wait.
Woo! Hey, yo, Matt, real quick. You wanna say your keepers for our
No,
league?
I'm good.
Why not?
I'm pretty sure it's obvious who my keepers are for my
I don't
league.
know. You'd be surprising.
Nah, I mean, all right, yeah, you ready? It's Jalen Hurts. No, I'm playing.
He wasn't even on your squad.
No, he was on my squad.
Oh,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was there. I drafted. Oh, I didn't draft it. I picked him up late. But
gotcha.
as Jake told you, the people, the regulars, beginning of the show, all my fantasy teams are Sir Trades a lot. So why is my name Sir Trades a lot? You may ask. Well, it's very simple, people. I love to trades a lot.
Mm,
It's extremely fun.
so fun.
Nothing like talking to somebody, DMing them, messaging them privately, and just talking to them, trying to get a feel for their needs. You kind of should already know their needs as far as who they may want. You definitely want to go into it knowing who you're trying to get rid of and who you want from their team. Maybe a couple of guys that you're willing to part with to add up, to make it a little sweet, the offer. But yeah, man, at this part of the show, we will be talking um, top 10. Yeah, top 10 and, kind of the back half of, the top 15, just kind of some names and whatnot. But top 10 breakdown by division. Why do I keep saying that? By position going into this season. Now we're going based off PPR format. For those of you who are listening, I don't know, maybe if you play PPR or you play regular or whatever the case is, but yeah, we'll be going strictly off PPR listing here. Um, and like I mentioned, quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, kickers, and
Defense.
defenses. So we'll be splitting them 3 by 3. I'll take 3. Jake will take 3. And to start us off, quarterbacks that I feel are top 10 this year. Um, my number one guy, I'm going to say Mahomes. But there's a but. Kyler Murray, I
Oh,
feel,
100%.
is going to
Yeah.
end the season as the number one quarterback in fantasy.
So just real quick, Kyler Murray is in that top tier right now.
Yeah,
Like where he's being drafted and where he's being considered, he's in the top four. Like there's only four quarterbacks in that tier: Mahomes, Allen, Murray, and Jackson.
yeah.
So, and I feel like you said, I don't think you're off by saying that because I think Murray has not only a better arm, but he has more talent around him.
Yeah,
than Lamar
there's,
Jackson does.
and that's why Lamar is currently sitting outside of my top five, and I'll get into that a little bit
Hmm.
here. But just as to why I think Kyler Murray will take number one spot, weapons galore. Um, D Hop, yeah, they added AJ Green, and you're probably like, well, he's probably not even gonna play all year. He's always injured. But you have Christian Kirk, you have um, Andy Isabella, and then they drafted more out of Wake for Purdue. Sorry. So and then they got some pretty good guys in the backfield as well. Chase Edmonds will be taking over the lead role, rightfully so, after we saw his production from last year doing pretty well. My third guy on the list, and hopefully he's playing week one. I'm going to go Dak. I went Dak just because of all the weapons. CD Lamb, Amari Cooper, Gallup, um, even Zeke looks to, take some bit of a upswing from last year's down year and see some targets. Dak was on the tear last year. Easily probably would have finished number one on this list as far as QB, fancy rankings go. But obviously we saw the injury due to the ankle. Number four, I'm going Josh Allen. Now I'm going Josh Allen because of the simple fact they have Emmanuel Sanders there. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is the guy, will continue to be the guy. And just those two alone, he doesn't have nearly as many weapons as the top other guys on the list, but I still give him the nod because of the simple fact he can get the job done running as well. And obviously in PPR, if you can get a quarterback who can run as well as pass, it's always going to be good for you. Number five is Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert
Mm.
did well last year with Keenan Allen in and out of the lineup, Mike Williams in and out of the lineup, and no Eckler.
Yeah.
And he gets all three of these guys back, hopefully healthy. So if you're assuming they're going to be healthy, that is completely scary. This is a guy who could jump to that top tier list also. The fact that what he was able to do with those guys not in the lineup, in and out of the lineup, and still did really well. I'm a big fan of his going into this year. Number six, I went Lamar. Lamar could also jump this list because of the receivers that they have. Drafted Bateman. Yeah, Sammy's there. We got to see if he's going to actually be somewhat of a better role than rather than showing up the first 2 weeks and then being hurt the rest of the year and whatnot. Mark Andrews is still there. We saw Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. So we'll see. The weapons are better. And you still got to fear the run from Lamar. So he could still be good as well. Number seven, I went Russell Wilson. Outside of tight end, as they added the tight end from the Rams, Lockett and Metcalf are going to do their thing. But my thing with Russell is always starts off well, and then like after the first half of the season, second half, it's like teams figure them out of they want to go deep and they just shut it down, and he's not as effective. I just need them to be not as predictable. So, and then to close out my top 10, I went Rodgers at 8, just because you got, Adams on there. I think Robert Tunyan's still going to be pretty solid. Ryan Tannehill at 9. The addition of Julio Jones and you got AJ Brown, it's going to make him really good fantasy wise. And then number 10, might surprise people. I went Jalen Hurts.
Mm. That's actually not that surprising. He's
Jalen
falling right out of
Hurts.
the top 10. He's
Yeah,
number 11 right now.
yeah, Jalen Hurts, and it's because it's the running aspect of his game. Now, I'm not banking on these receivers, but the hopefully the tight ends can help him stay afloat as far as passing numbers. But you got to think he will be able to run some of these in, get some good, yards on the run and whatnot. So I put Jalen Hurts at number 10. Obviously you could put guys like I guess maybe Brady just because of the weapons there. There's just so many good weapons there. But I feel like Brady's kind of hit or miss one week he's going to put up good numbers, and the next week they're running the ball a lot, and he's not putting up as many numbers in fantasy. So hey, that's my list as far as QB PPR fantasy rankings go. You guys let us know anybody on this list that you plan on eyeing. I know there are a couple of names here that I have my eyes on, but also it kind of depends on where you value quarterbacks and which round you feel like you want to take them. So stay true to your board. But now we'll have Jake break down the running back lists for this year.
Right, so for running backs, like Matt said, we're doing PPR, so it's a little bit different when it comes to running backs. Like there's a few guys in the running back position that if you're not doing PPR, they would be considered in that first tier. But because you're doing PPR, they kind of fall back. And a guy like that would be Nick Chubb. I have Nick Chubb on my team. I love him. He's great. But he's more of that. I'm gonna rush for 100 to 150 yards, and I'm gonna run the ball in. He's not really a guy that's gonna kill you with receptions. He'll grab a few. He'll probably get like 3 or 4 catches a game, but he's not your Christian McCaffrey, your Saquon Barkley type player. He's not like that. So for PPR sake, I don't have him in the top 3, or
And
even
that's
maybe
fair.
top.
I think that's only because Kareem Hunt's there.
Yeah,
If
but it
Kareem
works
Hunt's
so
both your,
well. You can
yeah,
start both.
yeah,
Like
Kareem
that's
Hunt's
the good thing.
you're a good, catcher out of the backfield. You can put him in the slot, out wide, and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah. So number one is obviously CMC out of Carolina. He's gonna have a healthy. Hopefully, we're hoping he has a healthy season. Um, but Christian McCaffrey, if you're able to get him or at any point, please grab him. If you're in a keeper league, a dynasty league, and you can trade picks or whatever it is you can to get that man, please get that man. He will transcend your entire team. And then at number two, I actually have Dalvin Cook. I love Dalvin Cook coming out of this year. Last year, finally had a healthy season, and my guy took off. He's a guy that will win you leagues. And then number three, I struggled with number three. I wanted to go Kamara for PPR purposes, but I just don't know if I can trust any of the quarterbacks in New Orleans. So I think just for that reason, I'm going to go Derrick Henry over him. Just because Derrick Henry, you have to give him the respect. He ran over for 2,000 yards last year.
Yeah,
So he has to go number three. And then I guess I'll put Kamara. Then we got Zeke. So that rolls out your top 5. I really like Zeke this year. Like you said, Dak's back. With Dak being healthy, that offense is going to roll. So Zeke should be good to go. And then 6 through 10 is where it gets a little fun. You can do something crazy. Now, this guy, this pick for number 6, Matt's going to love it. I picked this guy. I really think he's going to have a great season. And I don't think it's crazy if you pick him like outside of your top 5. I go Jonathan Taylor at number 6. I think that
hey man.
is people might think that's kind of crazy, but don't be shocked if we talk about Jonathan Taylor being one of the top fantasy running backs and just NFL running backs in general.
Yeah, man.
I see
Yeah,
him
he's
at
on my fantasy
6.
team.
I see
No, I'm
him at
definitely happy about
6.
that.
And then 7, I'm going to go Aaron Jones, just because that team is phenomenal. The Packers offense is great. I know everyone's probably wondering, you haven't said your boy Barkley yet. I think Barkley's going to fall out of the top 10.
I agree.
So I th- I like Antonio Gibson at number 9 more than Barkley. I think Antonio Gibson, as we saw when he started getting the starting reps last year, my
Yeah,
guy took off. He was in the passing game all the time. He was all getting positive yards. It wasn't 2, 3 yards. It's like 5, 7 yards of play he was getting. So they were
yeah.
consistently
Yeah,
getting
in
points.
PPR, it was great.
Yeah.
It was the yards, the rushing yards, and then the catches.
Yep.
That's what really makes a running back elite in PPR fantasy leagues is the obviously what PPR means points per reception. And anytime you can get a running back like that who can catch it out of the backfield, get you 4 to 5 catches per game, that's deadly. That's
Yeah.
super deadly.
And then to roll out the number, to finish out the top 10, I'm going to go Austin Eckler at 10. Um, Austin Eckler healthy. in PPR leagues,
Is scary.
it's
I'm not sure
probably
he's.
top 5.
Yeah, I was
At
about to say
least
I'm
top
not sure
5.
he's top 3 when healthy, just because of so much work he does in the receiving game. It's
Yeah.
deadly.
It's insane on how good Eckler can be. And Eckler loves supporting his fantasy football fans. Like he tells every season, if he's always says he's gonna win everybody their league. Last year, unfortunately, he got hurt. It sucked, but he start off the season because I had Eckler last year. So to start off the season, he gave me 220 plus games the first 2 games, but then he got hurt. So he was gonna have a phenomenal year. Um, and then outside of the top 10, I'm just gonna say a couple guys because we did the top 10. I think Barkley will be in that 10 to 15 range. I would love if he does better, but I feel like that's where he's going to finish. Not necessarily his fault. You're recovering from ACL, and the O line sucks. So I think he's going to do the best he can with what he has. But Barkley still has not had a good O line to play with, so that really messes up his numbers. And then look out for Najee Harris. Watch that man. Don't be surprised if he's putting up close to Bell numbers on the Steelers.
Yeah.
They have a ton of workload for Najee Harris.
Yeah. So your list, I would definitely agree, pound for pound. You know what? Hey, why not? I'll tell you guys the regulars. Jake here. It's not any secret as to who my keepers are. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. It's an absolute no brainer. Saquon, I traded for last year, gave up Kelsey. Everyone thought the ceiling was on fire, the
Not
sky
me.
was
I was with you.
falling, and what are you doing? You're selling the farm, you're tanking, and blah, blah, blah. And the guy who I gave him to didn't win, or they said he was going to win the whole thing. He didn't even win the whole thing. I was preparing myself for the future. I've made one huge mistake, and it's because I was afraid of that he was going to be hit with the injury history bug. I had Dalvin Cook at one point, and I parted ways with him because I was afraid he was going to get hurt. I out jinx thought myself, and for that
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying for it. But I feel like I've rebounded pretty well. I agree. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be a lot better than people think. I think they're shying away because they see Marlon Mack is there, but it's like Marlon Mack's also got an injury history. He's literally been hurt
What, like every
consistently
season?
every season. And I think it's just more of he'll come in to give Taylor a breather. And it's mainly really Hines in the Taylor show. Hines more so in the receiving game, but Taylor's also shown he can catch. He's not going to be as involved like a CMC Camara, but
I think he'll
um,
get the Nick Chubb treatment, like a
yeah,
few
and I'm
catches a
perfectly
game.
fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you too where it comes to Barkley, and it sucks, but I think if because of the weapons that are there in New York, Galladay, Sterling Shepard, um, Slayton, um, just all those guys, John Ross and crew, Kadarius Tony. I feel like it could help where he shouldn't really see an 8-man box. I don't
You would
think
hope.
you would hope, but this is me also banking on the fact that I hope Danny Dimes lives up to the nickname of Danny Dimes. So we'll see.
And
But
I'm
yeah,
with you as a Giants fan. Like I want it to happen. Like it hurts to
yeah,
put him outside of the top 10, but for the show purposes, I'm trying to be realistic.
yeah. If he can give
And
you like 10 to 15 consistently, I feel like that's perfectly good for RB2 going into
yeah,
the year. Yeah, I definitely take 20 and up. That would
oh,
show me
100%.
that he was back to, maybe year 2 Barkley, year 1 Barkley. But like you alluded to, has never had a good offensive line. That's still somewhat sort of the case. So we'll see if he can get
So since
get it
Matt
back going.
said his keepers, I think my keepers are also pretty obvious. I did have a choice out of 3, but I'm gonna go Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler are gonna be my keepers. I think that's pretty obvious. Sadly,
Yeah,
I had Kittle as an option if you want to go tight end, but we'll talk about the tight ends, and I feel like it's a little bit deeper
yeah,
than
to where you can
normally.
kind of wait a little
Yeah.
bit longer, not super long, but you can go past
You don't need to go for the Kelsey and the Kittles.
in the
You
second
can,
round. No,
yeah.
or maybe
So,
in the first with Kelsey. We'll see. But
yeah.
Receivers, Jake, take it away.
All right, so for receivers, now this is going to be pretty fast because receivers, this position is so deep. There's
Yeah,
probably
so deep.
only three. I highly doubt you go four players that you take in the first round, and that's towards the end of the first. And this is for players. This is for people who don't have keepers. You're just redrafting every year. So the only three wide receivers that I could see getting picked in the first round would be a Devonte Adams, a Tyreek Hill, and a Stephon Diggs. Those are the only three that I would ever
Maybe a
see
D
some
Hop. Maybe a D
maybe.
Hop.
But that's like
If
if
you're
you're
in
doing
a
a 10
12
team.
man league,
Oh
yeah, if
yeah,
you're in a
12.
12-man league, I could see D Hop in the back half. But yeah, to top 10, he'd probably be second round for me.
Exactly. So you already know who my top three are: Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. And I don't have Hopkins in my top four. Um, I have a guy who played a lot hurt last year and showed that he doesn't need future Hall of Famer Julio Jones. He doesn't need anything like that. I have Calvin Ridley at four. Calvin Ridley
That's a
is
good pick, man.
a
That's a really good pick.
his points that he had last year. Now I'm talking PPR. We're averaging about 18 to 22 points a game.
Yeah, man.
Playing hurt every week was questionable. He had the toe problem. He had everything was in that foot, which for a wide receiver that messes up your route running, that messes up your breaks, just your release time. All of that gets affected, and yet he was still a wide receiver one. And Calvin Ridley's still going to get the targets because Julio's not there. And then, Matt's going to talk about tight ends, and I could imagine he's going to bring up a Kyle Pitts, who everyone sees huge things for, but the targets are still going to be there for Calvin
Yeah,
Ridley, excuse me.
he's gonna be the absolute guy. That's just no
Yeah.
questions asked.
So I see him in the top four, and then five. I'm going to finish off with Hopkins. Hopkins, it's not that Hopkins is bad or Hopkins is showing any signs of regression. There's just a lot of mouths to feed for Kyle Murray.
Yeah.
And Kyle Murray is going to be the quarterback that I don't think eyes one receiver. He's going to be more of a, I need to go ahead and find the first guy that's open. So I think that's what he's going to do.
And I think D Hop still gets his. It's just not going to be like it was last year, where it's just like, I'm just going to throw it over there, D Hop over there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's
So,
just so many weapons. Like I mentioned, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, who showed good promise last year. Um, Ronaldo Moore, Andy Isabella. They're literally stacked. And then you have Chase Edmonds out of the backfield, who can also catch. Who
yep.
they preferred. Obviously, they let Drake go. Obviously, he's with the Raiders right now. But yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So Hopkins is going to be in the top five. And like I said, it's not because regression. It's not because he doesn't have it. If you have a chance to get Hopkins, please grab Hopkins. Like, it's not a matter of question. I just feel that those other four receivers are going to have way better seasons. And then to finish off the next five, I'm going to be a little, you're not going to probably see some names that we see every year. It's going to be, I think, a few newer guys. For example, at six, I have DK Metcalf. He's gonna, I think, just continue to grow. He had a lot of drops last year, but I feel that's gonna get fixed.
Yeah,
He's improving on the drops. If he breaks out even more than what he did last year, no one's gonna be surprised.
yeah.
And then Justin Jefferson, it's him and Metcalf are right there for fantasy purposes. And then I'm gonna go McLaurin over AJ Brown.
Scary Terry is exactly that.
Yeah,
Scary.
That that man, he's never had a quarterback, and
He's
he's
low
scary,
key.
Terry.
Yeah, he is extremely nice with it. I give you that one right there.
So I have him there. Like I said, you're not going to see names that we always see all the time in that
Yeah,
second tier. And then I think I'm going to finish it off with CeeDee Lamb.
yeah.
Now, it was tough because I wanted to go AJ Brown, but with Julio there,
You got to think he's going to take a little bit of a limit.
Yeah, I think he's
target.
gonna fall into that low wide receiver 1, high wide receiver 2
Yeah,
floor,
which is
which again, it's not
extremely
bad.
fine. Yeah,
But I think CD Lamb is gonna break out. I think we could see Amari Cooper slowing down a little bit,
yeah.
probably be more of a red zone guy. But I think CD Lamb's gonna get a lot of the targets. So that's who I have in the top 10. And then after that, you still have the Keenan Allens, the Mike Evans, the Julios,
It's
the Cooper
extremely
Cups.
deep.
It is crazy on how deep you could win a league with players in the fourth tier. You
Yeah,
have Cooper Cup, Adam Thielen, Galladay, Ayuk, Claypool. Like you can win a league with just those guys.
yeah. Your wide receiver twos, your wide receiver threes. If you're stacked at the running back spot, and you grab like let's say a Chase Claypool and
A Cooper Cup.
a Cooper Cup, that's solid. That's still
Heck
very
yeah.
solid. Like, shoot, sign me up for that. I'd easily, take that. Obviously, if you can't get, the top of the top, just based off where the board falls. But yeah, definitely. The only thing that I would switch, and it's just preference, is
Mhm.
and I had Metcalf, but I am extremely in love with Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah,
I would
100%.
switch those two. But again, it's just preference. It's not a knock
Mhm.
on Metcalf. He was good. The drops kind of plagued him a little bit. But I think, like you mentioned, he'll definitely break through with that. But other than that, man, I thought it was a really good list. Especially for those who are listening who may, be thinking, oh, I got a week or two to prepare for fantasy. Nah, man, it's never too early to start
That-
preparing for it.
And believe me, I know Matt's on the same as me. This isn't something that we just thought about this last couple like days
Nah,
preparing
yeah.
for the show.
Yeah, the moment
We
I
do
mentioned this
we
was
do
gonna go on the
fantasy a
show.
little bit differently. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the moment I mentioned it, it was already I already started it, but
yeah. We
uh
started when the season ended. We
yeah.
was already preparing.
Going into now our tight ends top 10 list for PPR format. The top three are extremely easy. I'm gonna give the number one spot to Kelsey just based off what he did last year was absolutely ridiculous. Um, some might want to go Waller at number two because he was healthy, but a healthy Kittle is pushing Kelsey for that top spot. So I'm gonna put Kittle at number two, and then I'll go Waller at number three. For me, for Waller to enter that top two rank, he just gotta be consistent. He has games where it's like they're gonna feed him. And I think it's the lack of receivers around him that he's consistent. It's not him. It's because if nobody else is showing up, that means they're just not that great, and the opposing defense is going to put two guys on Waller, and there's just nothing you can do with that. So I'm gonna put Waller there. This next one might surprise you for my number four. I put TJ
Oof.
Hawkinson.
That's not surprising. Not for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's not surprising. I
If
love
you
it.
know fantasy, yeah. If you know fantasy, it's not surprising. TJ Hawkinson. If you look at what Detroit has there as far as the passing game, it's next to nothing. You have Tyrell Williams, who hasn't been good or even somewhat remotely relevant since the Chargers. St. Brown, who's a rookie, and yeah, he may do well, but we'll see. And then after that, I just don't know who they got. Marvin Jones is gone. Galladay is gone. So at this point, TJ Hawkinson is
He
the
just has to stay healthy.
yeah. Just got to stay
Till
healthy. Um,
the work's there
comes
for him.
yeah, the works there comes out of Iowa. Tight end U, where they seem to just breed tight ends. Number five, I'm going Kyle Pitts.
Hmm.
I don't think he's going to see the heavy workload. I do think he will be involved, but I don't think he'll see it that heavy of a workload. And I think maybe as the season ends, you'll kind of see more of a load go to him to where they're kind of splitting it, so to speak. So I want him at number five. Number six, I went Mark Andrews, and that's because there are actual receivers around him now. So you got to think Lamar's going to look to get those guys open. Mark's still going to be the security blanket, rightfully so. But I put him at number six because I feel like there will be a little bit of target decrease for him. Number 7, I went Dallas Goddard, and I feel like he can kind of maybe jump up depending on his load for the Eagles and his chemistry with him and Jalen Hurts. He's somebody that I feel like is going to have a really good year. Number 9, I went with Minnesota's very own Irv Smith. And
Oh,
yes,
okay. I love Irv Smith, but
yes,
you're putting him in the top 10.
I put him in the top 10.
Okay.
I put him in the top 10 because I feel like he's a different element
Hmm.
to Minnesota than Kyle Rudolph was. Kyle Rudolph could definitely catch, but let's be real, Kyle Rudolph was more of your all around
He was
receiver.
a Jason Witten.
Yeah, he was
That's
your
what he was.
blocker, good chemistry guy, good locker room guy. Not really going to scare you as far as receptions go, but I feel like Irv Smith is different.
He's
I
more
feel
of
like
a route runner
he's
type
more of
of
your route
vertical threat.
runner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Irv Smith. And then to close out my top 10 with my last two, I went Logan Thomas,
Okay.
who came out, I felt late for Washington, but was pretty good. And then I'm going to finish it off with Robert Tunyan. I don't really see Robert Tunyan. I think it's going to be kind of the same year. He's not really going to, because he's not a receiver. Rogers isn't going to. He's not the first option. That's why I feel he's not really going to improve. But it's not to say he's not going to decrease either. I think he
Hmm.
stays right where he's at. And again, that's fine if you put the tight end position off for maybe the later rounds. Robert Tonyan's still in there. That's not a bad pick as long as you're pretty good everywhere else. So that's what I got for my top 10. Um, I can't really think of any guys out of and I might be missing some.
So the only thing that I would say, and it's more because I love the top 10,
Yeah,
um, but guys, this is more of a pro tip. If you see if you they're on the waiver or they're on the trade block, you have guys like a Jonnu Smith, which I wouldn't be surprised if he has a better year than he did in Tennessee.
yeah,
Because, you have a Mac Jones, if he ends up having to start, that's every rookie's security blanket, a tight end that can run and get open. So, you have guys like him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gronk has a way more productive season. We saw his breakout game, which was the most important game, the
yeah.
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the
so,
only reason I didn't put those guys is because with Jonnu Smith, you also have Hunter Henry. And I feel like it's going to flip flop. I feel like
mhm,
one week is going to be, Smith, the next week is going to be Henry. And it's because we've seen this before. I mean, obviously, Gronk, Aaron Hernandez, they just kind of, depending on, and that's how they run the system there. Whoever's got the hot hand, they're just going to feed it until you don't.
yeah.
Gronk, I feel like, is a good late round guy because he's going to see some targets. But again, man, that tight end room is deep
Because
in
you have OJ
Tampa.
Howard
You
and
got
Brait.
and Brett, yeah, and those guys will. I mean, OJ Howard coming off the Achilles injury from last year, so we'll see where he's at.
I
He
also
may not
really
start.
like Tyler Higbee this year.
Yeah, he's the long guy. He's the long guy. Stafford likes throwing to the tight ends. Not that he's
Uh,
going to single Higby out a lot,
He
but
loves that big body in the end
yeah,
zone.
it'll be more than Goff did. I can
Yeah.
tell you that. So
And one last pro tip for those first time drafters or you're always struggling during the draft, the only tight ends, and I think Matt would agree with me, that you grab over any of the wide receivers would be Travis Kelsey, Darren Waller, and George Kittle. If those three are off the board, wait for your tight end. Do not grab one anything crazy because everything after that, any of those guys can break open or they can all have years.
yeah,
There's a few players like the Pitts, the Hawkinsons, the Andrews that they'll have better seasons, but it's completely separated from the top three to those three.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, definitely. It
that's a
just
pro tip.
yeah, it's all based off of how you want to go into this drafting. Yeah, obviously
Mhm.
we have a keeper league. So how it works is if you're going to keep two guys, you don't have your first two draft picks and you start off in the third round. If you're starting off and it's just brand new clean slate every year Yeah, it's just based off of what you prefer. Obviously, your running backs are going to be cream of the crop in the first round, and then going from there, it just depends. You could go running back heavy first 2 rounds, or you can go running back. Then let me grab that star tight end, a Kelsey or Kittle in the second, or let me grab an Adams or whoever's if they have fallen to the second round. So it's just based off of how you feel you want to go about winning. But again, stick to your board as always. If you want to take risks, later always single out your sleeper guys. But next we will touch on our defensive PPR rankings, and Jake will end us or take it away from there with that.
Yeah, so defense, and this is something that everyone needs to take with a grain of salt because defenses can start hot and then crash and burn. So there's only a couple defenses this year that I love to play every week, and then the rest you're just gonna have to play matchups. You're just gonna have to figure out who has a weak team that they're playing against, and you're gonna want to start the good defense against them.
Yeah.
Um, the three defenses that I love, I'll even say four that you can start every week. I'm gonna go Washington. I'm gonna go Tampa, Colts, and the Rams. Those are the four that I personally think you can start every week. Without a doubt, put them in there and you can start them.
And see, I'm actually shocked you put Indy because I feel like, again, and this is why we do this, because we want to do this show with people who, not that you guys don't know what you're talking about, but with people who are going to dig into this. You may look at Indy and say, okay, top 10 defense, but I mean, are they really going to be? But it's like you have to really let me look at who's there. That's what's important. Look at who's there. Now let me look at the strength of schedule and go based off there. I'm there with you. I feel like the top two this year are definitely Washington and the Bucks because of pass rush. That pass rush
Yeah.
creates the turnovers, and that's what you're looking for. I also agree that Indy's maybe at that fourth, fifth because they've addressed the DN spot, and if the DN spot can cash in, it's going to make them a top four defense in fantasy. So I agree with you there.
And it's not even cash in where they need to be the one getting all the sacks. They need to be getting all the pressure. They just need to contribute
Yeah.
because you have DeForest Buckner, you have Darius Leonard. There's probably a couple other guys that stand out to you because you're the better fan. But collectively, as a team, they were tremendous against the run, especially last year.
Only let up
Like
one
they
one
were
yard,
really,
and it was
yeah.
Derrick Henry.
Which okay,
Yeah,
how are you gonna
it's
be
Derrick.
upset?
Yeah, it's Derrick Henry. But if you look at everybody we face, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, um, and we played Derrick Henry in Tennessee, and he didn't get 100. He got 100, more than 100. I think that was the game he got 40 points.
Yeah.
It was, but we didn't have Buckner. We had our front four got COVID, so it was literally second and third stringers who were just like,
And you guys were still in that game for a little bit.
yeah, we were
It
still
was
in the
a,
game for a little bit, and then it just broke loose. But yeah,
and then everything outside of those top four, I feel you really are just gonna have to play the matchups.
yeah,
Um, a lot of analysts that are considered professionals in the industry of fantasy, whatever it is, and for those that can't see, I put air quotes against professionals. I don't like the Baltimore Ravens at all this year. I could be the only one. I don't like them on offense. I don't like them on defense. I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I do not like the Baltimore Ravens at all. They have a lot of health issues and they're super old on defense. They have really good corners, which is great, but to get the pressure, it's old guys. And
yeah, they
it's
took a big
just,
hit.
yeah, they lost a couple players. Like,
Yeah,
I
they
just
got
don't,
Unique. They let go. Matt Judon is gone. They took a lot of hit, and they got old guys like Justin Houston, which I don't. I mean, I guess he was okay last year. He had 9 sacks for Indy, but I think it was just more so because Defoe was getting double teamed, and it was kind of like garbage time sacks. But
yeah, he got the Dupree treatment.
yeah, it wasn't really. I'm there with you. The secondary is pretty solid, but in PPR, if you want to make a big, push for the top, you need the pass rush because it's going to disrupt. You're going to get coverage, or you're going to get tip passes for the picks. You're going to get, just all that stuff. It starts up there in the front a lot of the times, and um, so yeah, I agree there with you with the Ravens.
Yeah, and just everyone else just ends up being a matchup play. Like, you have solid defenses. Like me and Matt both love the Dolphins defense. We love the Giants defense, and we like Chicago's defense, but not enough to say you can go out there and start them every week.
Yeah,
They're more of a matchup play.
yeah,
But in IRL, real life NFL, you love those defenses every week. You'll take them to start a team or whatever it is.
yeah,
But for fantasy purposes, those just ends up being a matchup. So if you're not able to get those top 4 defenses, don't worry. A lot of players won't. 90% of fantasy players play the matchup game with defenses.
yep.
And then you might catch one that's hot and they're just on a tear. Like I had the Ravens when they were hot in the beginning and then they died off. So I had to play the matchup game towards the end of the season. That's just how it works with defenses.
Yes, sir. And then we're just ending this off with our kicker PPR list. Outside of the top 2 guys, Tucker and Young Ho Koo. This is just kind of like just a little icing on the cake. Hopefully you can get somebody who can get you 10 points, 10 plus. Obviously, you definitely take Tucker number 1 spot, Young Ho Koo number 2. I got Booker at number 3, Jason Myers, followed by Matt Gay, and then I got Jason Sanders. I got Rodrigo Blankenship at number 7, and I put Will Lutz at 8. He may fall just based off how it goes. Basically, the back half of this list is you want to go when you're going for a kicker. You kind of want to look at, okay, whose offense will get to maybe the red zone or the 30, but won't necessarily be able to score, but can kick the field goal and get the 3 points. Obviously, the extra points are just, worth 1, but the further out the field goal, the more points you're going to get. So I put Robbie Gould at 9 because I do think the Niners will be good on offense, but I don't think like, they're going to score every drive type offense. Mm-hmm. Enough to where he can come in and kick. And then at number 10, I put your boy Graham Gano, because I think the Giants can be that type of offense where they get to the 30 and they get to the 20, but they can't quite get into the end zone, but they can hit some field goals. So
which is why I really love Young Ho Koo this year too. Yeah, I feel like that's going to happen with Atlanta. And then, like you said, you have Tucker and Butker, and you're thinking, well, those offenses score. Yeah, that's why you want them, because they're going to be scoring all the time.
They're going to be out there a lot. They're going to be out there at least 6-5 times, just kicking extra points. And that's just extra points alone. But they're also going to be out there 2 to 3 times kicking your 30-yarders, potentially your 40, potentially your 50, depending on how strong the leg is. So that's why those guys are the top 3, because those offenses are going to score, or at least be in position to score just about every possession. So, that is our breakdown of the fantasy going into this year by each position. Obviously, we will be looking to do something fantasy-wise every year or every week, so to speak. Next week, we'll look into, obviously, we broke down the top 10 by position. Next week, we're going to talk about sleepers that you can try and go. Maybe just like the top 3, top 4 sleepers in each position that you can try to covet in the later rounds. But at this time, before we get into the breakdown of the AFC West, we've reached a good time for a halftime break. So let's hear a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Eric Cravat. Eric Cravat is your one-stop shop for men's accessories. They have expertly chosen and thoughtfully put together sets presented artistically to make you look dapper. Their prices may be affordable, but they never cut corners on quality. Eric Cravat brings you everyday value at a luxury quality by going direct to consumer, so you can be confident that their products will stand up to any premium brand on the market. Today only, enjoy 15% off when you use coupon REGULARGUYS at ericcravat.com. And we are back. Hey, we thank our friends over at Eric Cravat, for sponsoring this week's show. Hey, if you're into ties, bow ties, just being dapper in general, go and give those guys a look at their inventory. Obviously, use that promo code for 15% off for this week. And make sure you or that special man in your life is looking dapper at all times by shopping with Eric Cravat. But moving on to our breakdown of the AFC West. Obviously, we saw this division be won by the Kansas City Chiefs at 14-2, followed by the Las Vegas Raiders. Still sounds kind of weird to say at 8-8. The Los Angeles Chargers also sounds kind of weird to say at 79, and the Denver Broncos at 5-11. Obviously, we weren't able to get a fan of any of these teams, so Jake and I will be breaking them down. Jake will be starting us off with his assessment of the Chiefs. So, Jake, give us a team weakness for the AFC champs for the 2021 season.
The weakness going into the offseason was O-line, and they fixed it. They added a lot of good pieces, but I'm going to go secondary. I think it's something we both agree is something they need. More of the corners, because you have Tyrann Mathieu back there at safety, and you have Juan Thornhill, who I think is pretty solid and kind of underrated.
Yeah,
But I would just go corners. That's something that they could definitely upgrade.
yeah, I would agree. A team strength for the AFC champs.
Oof, definitely not quarterback. Psych, Patrick Mahomes. That's the strength of that team. He is the Kansas City Chiefs. So,
Now, a player on the hot seat for the Chiefs.
ooh.
I feel like this
This
one's a little
guy,
hard.
yeah, but I'm gonna go with this guy. We love him on Madden.
Oh,
But
Hardman.
yeah, we love him on Madden.
Yeah,
He ends up being the best wide receiver to ever touch an NFL field in Madden. But in real life,
yeah,
I had 500 receiving yards last year.
yeah, man.
Second round pick, and you're not even playing like that.
Yeah.
And don't tell me you don't have a quarterback that looks for you. You have a quarterback that if they let him, will sit there and throw the ball at least 50 times a game. So get open. You have the speed. Like I just don't understand. Like you have the tools in front of you. You have the team that wants you to succeed. Go get it.
Take the offense to new heights with
Heck,
him
oh my
and
God.
goodness gracious, two burners. It's already bad enough the league can't stop Hill. Now, if imagine if Hardman was, I'll just say 80% of Hill. Now you can't put two guys on Hill if that's what you were doing. You have to single them, but it's like okay, you can't even double either one of them because then Kelsey's just gonna kill you in the middle.
Oh, that
So
makes
it's like
that offense so easy for them. Like
yeah,
it's so easy for Mahomes.
yeah.
So
And
I'm putting him on the hot seat.
I would agree there. And now give us a player you're most excited to watch for the Chiefs.
Uh, that's hmm. Cause I love seeing Mahomes, but to say I'm excited, like I expect him to be great at this point. Like it's not someone that I don't. For me, I'd probably go. It's either it's the running backs. It's either Daryl Williams or see Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Helaire could be good, but I know they love Daryl Williams, and I know he sat out last year for COVID.
Yeah.
So, and he was the Super Bowl hero. So I kind of am excited to see him. I love this offense. It's super explosive. Like just seeing this offense go off is exciting in itself. But if I have to pick one single person, it'll probably be Daryl Williams and the running backs.
And now your overall record for the AFC champs going to the season.
1-6 psych. I'm gonna go 17-0. I don't think they lose.
Oh, don't lose a game.
Yeah,
Okay.
I go 17-0. I'm gonna give you the whole prediction. 17-0. They cruise through the playoffs and they get another Super Bowl ring.
Okay.
It's Kansas City. That's how I see it.
Okay. Well, there's that for you Chiefs fans. Obviously, you're going to be loving hearing this. Now moving on to the second place winner, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Who? All right.
Jake, give us your team weakness for the Raiders.
Where can I start with the Raiders? Let's go with the fact that they're still trying to get. They called to see if Khalil Mack was available. Isn't that something? Huh? Almost like they had him. I'm just gonna go defense as a whole. I feel is a weakness. Now, a lot of people would say, "What about the offense?" Derek Carr is not the issue. Like the offense is not an issue because of Derek Carr. I That's why I say defense. You need to keep Derek Carr in the game more. He can win you shootouts, but not if the defense is allowing 30, 40 points a game. Like it's that's really difficult for him to do on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and now a team strength for the Raiders.
I'm gonna go quarterback. I really think they have Derek Carr is a solid quarterback. He can win in this league. I don't think I love him, and I don't understand why people have so much hate for Derek Carr, where they want to blame him. He had a solid year last year, so I go him.
Yeah. And now a player on the hot seat.
I know a lot of people don't like that we do this, but for this, I think it's true, and I don't know if they can let him go. But John Gruden, you're
I
the
would agree.
reason why this team is as bad as they are. You want to be the guy that calls the shots, but yet you traded Khalil Mack, and yet you want to know if he's available. You're letting
Arguably
all
your
of these
best
guys
player
go.
in years, and then you want
Yeah,
to try to get him back. Get the heck out of here, bro.
exactly. Another guy that I'd probably say is on the hot seat, but he's only going into year two, so it's not really a hot seat. I would just love to see some improvement out of Henry Ruggs. Like
Yeah,
try to
if
do
we
something more.
yeah, if we had to stay true to what it says as far as player on the hot seat, to me it would have to be Ruggs. You come in and you're supposed to be the next coming of Tyreek Hill. The speed is obviously there, but outside of your one great play against the Jets,
Where they gave up.
where it was, pretty much a whatever. You haven't really done anything. I mean, I felt like, again, going back to fantasy wise, fantasy owners had you really high and you let them down. And so I would agree there as far as player on the
I'm
hot
just
seat.
hoping he's not another Hardman.
Yeah, that would suck. But now, a player you're most excited to watch for the Raiders.
I'm going to go probably him, Henry Ruggs. He's the most exciting on this offense. Um, and then you also have Josh Jacobs, who I think is going to have a nice comeback. We didn't really talk about him much in fantasy. He kind of dipped last year,
Mhm.
like tremendously. So I'm excited to see if he has a comeback, but mainly Henry Ruggs. I want to see what this guy can do. He has it there, and you have a quarterback that wants to throw the ball.
Yeah. And now your overall team prediction for the Raiders.
This is a little difficult. I know they went um, they won 7 games last year, right?
Eight. 8-8.
8 games. They went 8-8. They have a really tough schedule. Like I'm looking, the first, I don't see them getting a win till week 7. Like I think that'd be their first win, and that's against Philly.
Sheesh.
Um, and just to be nice, I'll go. They get 6 wins, so I'll go
6-11.
6-11. They have a really tough schedule. Like they finish with Washington and Kansas City.
Sheesh. Yeah.
Like
Kansas
I
City
don't know.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. I would agree there. Um, our
Wow, they
next
have a really
team.
tough schedule.
Yeah. Our next team is the Los Angeles Chargers. We saw this team finish 7-9. Um, a team weakness I have for this team, I'm going to go tight end. Hunter Henry left. I don't think that was necessarily the greatest move. And the guy you replaced him with was Jared Cook. And Jared Cook's kind of old. I just don't really see. I feel like with a Hunter Henry, it could have taken your offense to even more newer heights. I understand Hunter Henry went and got paid and went to the New England Patriots system, where they love to utilize tight ends. But yeah, team weakness, definitely tight end. I'm going to go team strength. I'm going to go secondary. Chris Harris, Derwin James, newly drafted Asante Samuel Jr. It's a really good secondary. I feel like that's definitely the strength of this team. Player on the hot seat, I have Mike Williams. Mike Williams, receiver out of Clemson, was supposed to come into the league. I want to say he was drafted in the first round. I could be wrong there, but was supposed to be one of the next best things, and not necessarily that he's been injured every single year. I know he was injured lately, but just hasn't really lived up to the hype as that big body downfield target receiver. So hopefully he can bounce back and be that for Herbert. He shows the flashes. He showed it against the Saints last year, and you just want him to be healthy and just be out there long enough to continue to develop and be that good, red zone target, if you will, for Herbert. Player I'm most excited for, it's not going to be just Justin Herbert. It's actually going to be Asante Samuel Jr. Had a tip pick yesterday against the Niners and Jimmy G. I just love the way he plays, and it's kind of killing me to say this because he's went to college at Florida State. I do not like Florida State whatsoever as a Gators fan.
Mm.
As you see the shirt, but I am a fan of, hey, if you ball, you get the call type. So hopefully he can come in and be that second guy opposite Chris Harris. Obviously, they let Casey Hayward go. So we'll see if he can come in, and I think they're going to let him start from day one and just throw him into the fire, which I think you have to do with your corners. I think
Yeah.
that's the only way they learn in the league as rookies. Overall prediction, I got them finishing 11-6. I do think they will finish second in this division easily. Next week's show, either next week or the week after that, when we go into our predictions and whatnot as far as playoffs and blah blah blah, I do have them making the playoffs. I do think hopefully that this is the year they all can stay healthy. Bosa, Derwin James, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Eckler, just all those guys. Hopefully they can all stay healthy because when healthy, on paper, this is a really great team. And Justin Herbert is the right guy for them. They've retooled the offensive line, got Corey Lindsey at center, drafted who I feel is going to be an absolute stud at left tackle and Rashawn Slater. So it's looking extremely up for the Chargers. My overall team record, I have them 11-6, 2 key wins. I got them beating Washington week 1, and I guess I guess you could say a key win is the Giants. I don't know. I guess you could say that. And then 2 key losses. Although the team I feel will be healthy, I do think they're not going to be ready to split with the Chiefs. So I do have them getting L's to them both times. And I think they are very close losses.
Yeah, I
But
don't think it's gonna be blowouts. I think we're gonna have
yeah,
like we had last year, Herbert's coming out party where he realized he had to start 3 minutes before tip off.
yep,
I think it's gonna be games like that where
yeah,
it's just back and forth. And to be honest, the only reason why the Chargers lost that game was head coaching.
yeah,
If they had a guy who could actually knew what plays he wanted to run, a good game caller, the Chargers probably win. And Herbert's first win is against Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, there you have it. That's my assessment of the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll see if that remains to become true. Um, Next team I have is the Denver Broncos. Now we saw this team finish in that division 5-11. A team weakness that I have is got to be quarterback. You got Drew Lock, you got Teddy Two Gloves there, and although if I'll say this, if you could put Teddy B's knowledge of the game into Drew Lock, this team would be dangerous. Drew Lock has the potential. He's got the arm, the mobility, but he's so inconsistent. One week it's, hey, look at me. I look like I'm an all pro. Next it's, dang, bro, like I'm fifth round rookie or something. So that's what I got as my team weakness. Team strength. This one is, I have this one. I could have flip flopped. I could have said secondary. I'm gonna go receiver. I'm
I
not
love that
sure that
receiver
this
room.
is the best receiver room in the entire league. Now, for those of you who are listening, I said receiver room, not just one receiver.
Or duo. You're talking about the
Yeah,
whole room.
I'm talking about the entire room. Let's break down the room. Cortland Sutton,
Mm,
Jerry Jeudy,
mm.
Tim Patrick, and it doesn't even stop there. KJ Hamler, who
Burner.
is a absolute burner. This room, again, I'm not sure this is, I'm gonna personally say I think it's the best receiver room in the league. Just from top, from number 1 to number 4. But yeah, that's who I have as a team strength. Player on the hot seats, obviously, is Drew Lock. Drew Lock, you have the keys to unlock this team into being a Super Bowl contender. Potentially just based off what you have receiver wise. Obviously, Noah Fant's there, Melvin Gordon, they drafted a guy at running back as well. Obviously, the defense returns Von Miller, and you got Bradley Chubb on the other side. So, player I'm most excited to watch has got to be PS2, Patrick Surtain the second, rocking the number 2. Saw him last week, preseason week 1, get his pick six to the crib. Excuse me. He's definitely a guy that I'm excited to watch. Again, that secondary I could have easily said is a team strength. Justin Simmons, Fuller, Bradley Roby. Now him, it's loaded. It's extremely loaded. My prediction might surprise. It's a losing
Uh-oh.
record, but
Okay.
I do think the Raiders finish last in this
Oh,
division. I'm going to say 7-10. It is just because of how star-studded this defense is and Cortland Sutton coming back. That whoever's at quarterback, whether it's Drew Lock, Teddy Two Gloves, that hopefully they can keep it afloat. And I feel like a lot of their losses are going to be close because of the quarterback position. And because Nick Fangio is their head coach. He's a defensive guy. I don't really know many defensive guys who excel and succeed well on the offensive side. I do know the defense is going to be playing lights out, and the offense has the potential to be, but I don't know if he's really stressing as much offensively for that team. So I do have them finishing 7-10. Key wins. Pittsburgh. I got him beating Pittsburgh, and I got him beating the Raiders. Um, Surprisingly, I do think they split against the Raiders, but I do have them beating the Raiders. Key losses. I got them losing against the Browns, and I got them losing against Washington. And obviously, I do think they lose both to Kansas City. I do think one of those losses will be close, but I think the other one won't be as close, just because Drew Lock or Teddy Two Gloves won't be able to get it done. But there you have it, fans of the AFC West. Hopefully, we made you proud, and maybe not if you are a Raiders fan or a Broncos fan. But that is our assessment of the AFC West. Next week, we will be breaking down our last division of the NFC West, where we will have our good friend Joe come on and talk the Niners with us. So we'll look to get his assessment of his team going into the season. But now heading into the NBA, again, not as many news to cover here. Signings have dwindled down. Summer League has come to an end. We're really in the thick of it as far as the offseason goes. But we do have some 2K news. And here at Regular Guys Podcast, we do love us some 2K. So ratings came out last week. No 99. Jake, are you surprised that the cream of the crop, as far as the top of the top talent, are all sitting there at 96, and there is no best guy, so to say.
Yes and no. I think there should have only been two 99s. And I'd go Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. I think those should have been the only two 99s.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
Greek Freak at 96. I love. I'm happy he's not a 99 because he can't shoot.
No.
So just through the
I
fact
would
he
have said
can't
at least a
shoot,
97, 98, but definitely not a 99 for sure.
yeah. I love LeBron. He plays like a 99. It's just he's a little slower. He's not that. There's a lot of things that go into it. I get it. So I think that's why he's at 96. But I think for sure 99 should have been Curry and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. I didn't agree with the simple fact that there was no top of the top. Obviously, in Madden, you have your 99 club where many guys were on it. But to say that Steph, LeBron, Curry, I already mentioned Curry, Durant, and Greek Freak are all the same, I feel that's a slap in the face to all those guys. I agree. Steph and KD definitely deserve the 99 mark, followed by Greek Freak at a 97, 98. I do think LeBron was rightfully so at 96. And I mean, we say that like it's a bad thing. 96 at his age,
That's
going to
phenomenal.
that's extreme. You know what most guys at his age are at? They're not even on the roster, bro.
Hey, at home.
Yeah, they're at home right now. So the fact that you're there, obviously, we know King James is going to use this as motivation, as he has already. Hashtag Wash King and whatnot.
Hmm.
But now moving into the a little bit more of LeBron news. So it came out that as far as these ratings, not that they're tied together, LeBron received no votes for best player in the NBA. Jake,
That's wild.
were
That's
they rightfully so? What are your
no.
thoughts?
As you saw my reaction, that's wild to say that this guy is not considered one like the best NBA player. That's
Yeah,
incredible. At 36 years old, that's crazy.
yeah.
He's crazy good.
Yeah, if you want to say, I'm not here even going to say this. I'm not saying like obviously he's still my best player. Yes, I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, but I'm not going to say he's my best. He's you know, I'm not going to say he's the best player still, but to not have received at least one vote, it's like I really hope you guys know what you're doing because you're literally just fueling this man. And I heard this from Skip. I was listening to Skip and Shannon.
Oh, I gotta bring something up from there too, but I want to see if you're bringing up the same thing.
So it was brought. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a super team. It's a super team." Blah blah blah. So Shannon said, "Well, we have LeBron James, who many of you claim is not the best player in the league. Anthony Davis, who many of you claim, I think he said was not top 10 player in the league, and then Russell Westbrook, who was just completely bad." So he said he looked at Skip and said, "So there's absolutely no way you could say this is a super team."
Exactly. Yep. That's what I was gonna bring up.
Yeah, it's like again,
2K did Westbrook nasty.
yeah, it's bad. They did Bradley Beal bad.
85.
Yeah, they did Bradley Beal bad. Also, it's
How do you average a triple double in the
he
last
did
3 of the 4
85.
seasons and then you get an 85? And it's not a triple double where it's 10, 10, 10. You're
Yeah,
looking at like 24, 26 for points per game, and then at least 13 for assists and rebounds.
yeah, it's crazy. Hopefully they update these. Game
2K, I feel
comes
like it's gonna
out.
be trash.
Yeah, it
I have
comes
a
out
really bad
here
feeling.
in a couple weeks. Obviously, we'll be still buying it, but
Yeah.
you guys let us know down in the comments your thoughts on these ratings. If you, excuse me, felt like LeBron should have received at least one first best player vote. But moving into our in other sports segment, little baseball going on here. Last week we saw Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers hit his 500 home run, joining elite company there in that 500 home run club. Jake, just shed a little light on that news.
Yeah, I mean the 500 club, that's considered one of the most elite clubs in baseball. You have the 500 home runs, you have the 3,000 hits, which is very hard to do. Miguel Cabrera has an incredible stat sheet. He has won a World Series with the Marlins back in 2003. He was drafted by the Marlins. He played with the Marlins. And then in free agency, he signed with the Detroit Lions and has been there with them ever since. He got the Triple Crown Award in 2012. And I don't know if you're familiar with that crown, Matt, but that is leading in the top three categories for baseball. You lead in average, you lead in home runs, and you lead in RBIs. So by leading all of those categories in the time of 2012, when that's when baseball took into the home runs a lot, you lead in all of that is tremendous because most home run hitters don't have the batting average that he had. So tremendous career for Miguel Cabrera. He's about 50 something hits away from the 3,000 club. He has 2,955 hits. So he's super close to 3,000. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, and then also in other baseball news, the Cincinnati Reds have passed the San Diego Padres so far in the wild card standings right now. Right now, it looks like they're just sitting back a game back of the Padres, the Reds. Sorry. So obviously, we'll continue to kind of monitor this. It's heating up here. But in other also baseball news, the New York Yankees are sitting on a wonderful 9-game win streak. Obviously, Jake's doing his little dance because he's happy for them Yankees. Jake,
Yes,
share your
boy.
excitement.
The Yankees. They in the last 9 games have gone nine. In the last 10 games, have gone 10-1. And they haven't lost a series since the All Star game. So in baseball, a series you play 3 games or 4 games. So that means if it's a 3-game series, they're winning 2. If it's a 4, they're winning 3. So they haven't lost a series since the All Star game. But also, if you want to talk about a 9-game winning streak, the Atlanta Braves are also on a 9-game winning streak. They're looking to take the NL East. The Yankees are cruising and just in time. They're only 2 games out of Tampa, and if they keep up at this pace, they close the season out playing Tampa, so they could easily win the division the last 3 games.
Yeah,
So
and speaking on more of 9-game win streaks, the Dodgers were on their own and just lost 22nd. What was this? Sunday, yesterday.
yeah,
7-2 to the Mets. So
which that's tough
baseball,
because
yeah,
they're 2 games out of the Giants, who I don't see losing anytime soon.
yeah,
Not that bad.
same. So yeah, definitely there's some baseball news. Obviously, like we talked about, we wanted to shed some light on other sports and news there. Going into the hockey world, Henrik Lundqvist retired goalie for the Rangers after 15 years due to heart inflammation. Um, we're still kind of getting to know hockey and whatnot, but felt like this was, hey, you know what? It's some news. Let's at least start somewhere. Obviously, as the season gets ready to kick off or puck off, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we'll definitely, try to incorporate some more news there. College football is also be kicking off here shortly in a couple weeks, a week before the NFL season starts. So I'll look to kind of give you guys some top teams going into the year, maybe some names to kind of keep an eye on as far as maybe for Heisman and whatnot. So, but now moving into our favorite and your favorite, the hype. So we reached out to you guys. Uh, Obviously, PJ, who's not always here to join us, chimed in. He is hyped for the No Way Home trailer to finally drop. Obviously, for you Marvel fans, comic book fans, we're all waiting for that freaking trailer to drop at this point. Just don't show me the trailer. This is exactly how I feel. Don't show me the trailer. I'm still going to show up December 17th and watch it. That's just how I
If it
feel.
doesn't get delayed.
If it doesn't get delayed. So we'll see. We'll see
Tom
this.
Holland posted on his Instagram story yesterday, y'all ain't ready. And with the eye emoji, and that's
Yeah.
it. So
So
we
hopefully
don't
it's
know if
something
it's for
good.
that. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Hopefully it's something good. I don't want it to be for, oh yeah, it won't be coming out to January.
Next thing you
So
know, it's just an Uncharted trailer running in
yeah.
the
Yeah. But Jake, tell the people something that you're hyped for, man.
fantasy football, man. Like you guys don't understand. This is something that we love. Granted, we have a great group of guys that we play this league with, where it keeps it super intense and competitive. And this so much trash talk goes on into this fantasy league. But fantasy football, man, just super excited. I got a couple drafts this week, and then I have one next week, and then we have the big one coming up. So got a lot of drafts coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I second that as something I'm hyped for. Definitely that time of the year. Fantasy season is upon us. Trade talks are upon us. Also, something too that I was hyped for. I was able to cop some sneakers. If you look behind me, you see the ones, and my new pair will be going right there.
Mm.
I was able to collect the um, Jordan 1 Pollins. Obviously, if you've seen them, came out a couple weeks ago. Big sneaker fanatic, if you haven't already seen by now. But that's something I'm definitely hyped for. But definitely, again, can't thank you guys enough for listening. Hopefully, you're liking our new release date of Wednesday mornings at 9. Obviously, we'll be able to combat the NFL schedule that'll be coming out each and every week to be able to talk the games and fantasy news and such. But also, too, stay tuned to our page. We got a lot of things planned as far as releasing this week to interact with you guys, get your opinions and whatnot on some things that we feel you might like. But other than that, Jake, talk to the people and hit us with an outro.
All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're super excited with what's going to be happening this week. We have a great episode coming up next week. Really happy about that. And just keep hitting us up with some positive feedback, negative feedback, whatever you have for us so we can keep growing. We appreciate the love and support from you guys. Stay tuned. Peace.
Regular Guys Podcast.